Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. It is December 10th, and Michael and I have got a bunch of things to talk about today. But of course, as always, we're going to fill it in with a chit chat, another general nonsense for a little bit. But how's it going today, my friend?
Good. Was on PTO, had some friends over. We went to the football stadium. I haven't been to a professional football game probably, it's probably been about 10 years, to be honest.
Now you're talking
Maybe even
American
longer.
football,
Yes,
because I know
American
you like the
football.
round football too.
I know. That's why I said football. All my friends are making fun of me because they're like, he's gonna call it football. But the other one, I think we're in the. But yes, it was the first time since I've been in a stadium in a while. I guess, well, I went to the one in Dallas for the Bluebeam Live event. And I was just amazed at the design behind it. So it was cool to go there. I was telling all my friends about it. One of my friends wants to kind of get into trades, talking him through some of like the different things while we're there. More so than watching the game. But it was fun. It was good. Good to relax. Excited to be back. And we have some good topics today. Did anything happen on Monday from an email from Bluebeam? Do you know?
I don't remember seeing anything.
Yeah.
But as always, I can check my magical little portal that allows me insight into um, some things. And when I checked it yesterday, there was nothing there, and there's nothing there this morning. So no news is
Do
usually
they
good news.
Yeah, do they don't close down for a couple weeks, do they? I forget. I think they do,
That's a
if I
good
remember.
question. Let me pull that up because yeah, that has been an issue last. Not an issue. I mean, it's cool. But I think they did that last year where they were shut down.
For like a week, right?
Yeah, that week between Christmas and New Year's. So it's one of those things where it's time to start planning for it. If you've got stuff going on. Um, but speaking of got stuff going on, there is a price increase coming. This is something we should talk about.
Okay.
Um, if since it's the end of the year, right? So this is the time of the year folks are looking at their budgets, planning for next year. There's going to be a price increase in January 7th. Sounds right. Sure, somewhere around there. So if you got a renewal coming up real soon, you might want to get on that and take care of that now to save yourself 10%.
Can
This
they
is the
fast forward a renewal and save themselves 10%?
I don't know, but it's worth having a conversation. If you're, if
Okay.
you're going through a partner like us for your Bluebeam, like reach out and they can help you. But this is the same 10% we've been talking about for years. This was not a surprise. For those who had a license that they converted from Review 21 with maintenance to Review 20 with maintenance, and you converted it to Review 21, those are the ones that are going up 10% per year until it reaches that retail price, right? So it's not a surprise. It's nothing tricky, but it's something that maybe you forgot about or whatever. But it's coming.
Well, yeah, because that one was pretty much known. They guaranteed it for the first 5 years. Who knows what happens at end of 5 year, if they're going to go straight to the full increase or let you grandfather in that pricing until infinity. I don't know. But guaranteed it was 5 years when you did the net neutral transition is what they called it. And you moved over to Review 21. Now, for everyone else, it is going up regardless, right? 10%.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
But I don't know if you could fast forward. So that'd be a good question to ask um,
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah. And if you are dealing with ATG, you can reach out to Jolie or Keanu, and they're our Bluebeam experts when it comes to all things licensing. So be happy to help you out. But otherwise, reach out to your partner or Bluebeam. Guessing I don't know. I haven't seen anything on their website about it. So, um,
They're
but
going
yeah,
to sneak it in there
yeah,
for the new year.
and like I was talking about this with my friend over the weekend. Like everything's getting more expensive. Like when did going out for you know two drinks and an appetizer be $50? It's like that. Everything's getting more expensive, and a lot of it is happening without us really paying attention to it. And I don't know if companies are just taking advantage of that. Like they're never going to notice this extra fee, or if it's something like, you know, hey, we told you, but you didn't pay attention.
Yeah, it's like the macro costs. I saw something on I think it was LinkedIn the other day where you could see the difference between what it was in 2019, 2020 for like a hamburger. They had like McDonald's, they had Chick-fil-A, they had something else, and it almost went up. Most of their things almost went up 100%. Some went up 200% in cost. It's wild.
Mm-hmm. The little things here and there. Um, but we'll try to get into our topic here. Otherwise, this
Yeah.
this topic,
Go
this
down a
topic,
wormhole.
we can go down rabbit holes all day. But today our topic is managing measurements. And if you saw our little email, it suggested trying to say that 3 times fast, which I'm not going to do. But it's become more of a thing. I had a call last week where someone's like, "Man, I really wish I could," or they were copying the PDF. So they're doing markups between, and let's just say it's an engineer and a drafter, and they're doing markups, and the drafter is doing a save as of the engineer's markups and deleting the comments when they're done instead of using statuses. They had no idea about statuses. They had no idea about other things changing colors. So we'll get it probably in a little bit into statuses today, but the main thing is your measurements, types of measurements, customizations for your measurements, best practices. So we're going to dive into that sort of stuff here in a moment. But as always, if you've got any questions, type them in the chat. As usual, we don't have to stick to measurements. We'll go down whatever rabbit hole y'all want, but um, we'll start there.
Yeah, I'm just deleting stuff, so I apologize. Give me a couple seconds. Always got to check the recents for those of us that do demos. Don't want to share everything. So with that, I think I'm also going to add, because the YouTube video that I have about like mastering quantity takeoffs, not from the perspective of you, Doug, I know you're listening in, of washing your data, but maybe we'll get into some quantity links too from measurements and stuff like that. So there could be some mix of quantities in here too. As I'm well caffeinated, well relaxed and recharged from a little mini vacation, let's kind of get into it. By the way, if anyone didn't know, Jason got me this mug.
That's a good
Do you
one.
remember it?
Yeah, I have another mug from the same artist. I've got 2 mugs from the same artist.
They're cactuses.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the artist? They didn't make a signature anymore. Maybe it's the bottom of the cup.
Now, okay, so we're already going to go down rabbit holes. So if you're ever in Fargo, North Dakota, there is a brewery called Drecker Brewing. They're probably one of the top breweries in the country if you're following Untapped or other beer things. But they have this really cool facility called Brewhalla. And it's a brewery slash market slash restaurant thing. So you go in and there's an oyster bar and a pizza place and a burger joint and a craft store and a plant store. And next to the plant store is a pottery store where the artist makes pots and cups and paints them and does a bunch of things right there at this facility. And that's where your coffee cup came from.
Ooh.
So it's pretty sweet.
Pretty slick. I like it.
Yeah. If you've ever been to Winnipeg and went to the Forks, this is a smaller version of that, but just with more beer. But anywho.
Good side tangent, because I also opened up another one that has a couple of viewports that we can go through and add some value here too. But we'll first start here. This is my traditional set that I've always used. It's something I did when I was in industry. And but I think when we were using projects, the actual Bluebeam Cloud projects, I initiated this one in there and laid this out on site. Kind of showed you because this was constructed out here in where was it? Sahuarita, so southern Arizona, for those folks that may not know. Okay, so let's go through. When you're getting ready to do measurements, I always switch back to my Revu Advanced profile. So whenever you're working within Revu, remember you have the ability to utilize profiles. Profiles ties into everything that you do, just like Jason was talking about earlier with statuses and customizing your statuses for color changing capabilities. But again, coming back full circle, what you're able to go through and do is use your measurements. So there are 2 different types of measurements I guess you can quantify. There are sketching to scale, which are in that same vein of measurements because they still have the same type of bar here that gives you a measurement. And then you have your purple ones.
Oh,
I don't know. I thought I had this as blue, but anyways, okay. Maybe I was messing around with it. You have your purple ones here that also are your true measurements that you can go through and utilize and review. That's one of the great things about Bluebeam Revu is the ability to measure with multiple different use cases for measurements versus other solutions that don't have the full, I would guess, like kind of suite of measurement tools that Revu has. So first and foremost, you need to apply a scale. Someone asked me the other day, and maybe any of you can answer this, and I'm wondering if it comes from a combined PDF. Printing your PDF set out of a design solution, sometimes they come with viewports.
mm-hmm.
Didn't we talk about that from AutoCAD? It had to be like a D. That was for layers.
Yeah, the DWG to PDF. Let me pull up AutoCAD and take a look. We do
Sections
pure
work.
AutoCAD.
Yeah, sections work for Revit if you do combined, meaning they hyperlink
Mm-hmm.
automatically. Viewports, I don't know. I guess I'd have to try. I mean, this came directly from Revit. So did this one. So um, there's just no scales. I'm wondering if there's a setting. Maybe I need to just open up Revit. I'm not going to go off the side tangent yet. So let's just say your PDF didn't come to you at scale. You have the ability down to the bottom right. There's 3 different ways to set your PDF to scale. But bottom right is traditionally where I go to. You also have the ability to go to your panel of measurements. And if you don't see your panel, you can always right click on an active panel, and that's not going to show over there because I can go to my other screen. And then you can go and see you have your measurements right here. Alt U is the hotkey for that one. And then you also have tools and measure here. Again, sketch to scale is the ability to sketch at a scale once you've calibrated your PDF. But from measure here, you can set scale to. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say preset. So if you know your scale, you can go through and say there's a preset. And I know this is 3/32 equals a foot. And you can decide your precision for those folks that may have a little bit messed up precision. And you can do, excuse me, a separate X and Y scale. This is good for folks in the civil realm because you have, I was talking to a civil client the other day, Jason. What do they call that thing that has like the pipe network and then you have your layout?
A profile.
Yeah, so you need a different Y, or is it X for the profile? Y.
Why?
Y. And then the X is your plan view of the site, right? Okay. Rejogging the old memory. But again, that allows you to have different set scales for those if you ever needed to. You just check this button and it gives you 2 different ones for those folks that are wanting to measure from that perspective. Now, I'm saying preset. Now, if it's not a preset and you wanted to get a dimension that is at or on the PDF because you're worried about it not being printed to scale, we've had a long conversation about this with setting non binding, so you're not obligated from a scale perspective of you printing this out and there may being an issue. We're not going to get into the weeds on that. We've had a long conversation about, not responsible or not set to scale in your title blocks. So we'll hit apply. We'll go on the other one and show you not a preset one, but we're going to grab a measurement that's there. Now you can always come back into your measurement panel and redo everything you just did. You can also add scale to more pages if you wanted to. I just said all pages. So it's gonna, I don't know, actually, did I say all pages? Oh,
I
I
don't
only
know.
did selected. So yeah, you can decide if it's all pages or selected pages. You can even start setting scale with your thumbnails and say, I want this one and this one. These are going to be different, but that's fine. You can just decide that from here. So it's up to you because then you can say, hey, from the selected, apply the scale. So if you had specific ones that you wanted to set scale that you knew they were at, And from your thumbnails, if you don't see this bottom part, it's right under here. You have page scale. So it's this little white squiggly line here. You can hit the drop down and deselect or select that. It just gives you more options. Now, if I want to go through and measure, you have the ability to go through and take a length measurement, and we can go through and verify this. I'm holding shift for orthogonal positioning, and this can be different angles. You can't go outside the angles that it's giving you yet, but I know that's always been a big request, and there we are. Now, one thing you can go through and do if you're wanting to get the amount of concrete being poured in this area, you could utilize the dynamic fill. So dynamic fill is right over here in the far right, or J for the hotkey for this, and that's one option as well. But we're going to go over and talk a little bit more about viewports, and then I'll bring up an architectural drawing because then we'll talk about flooring measurements and getting that into some type of solution, even trim from that perspective. It's funny, I was just talking to Jason, doing a little bit of a home remodel, and now trim's coming into that part and how much trim costs and installing it, right? So that would be good to know how much you could do it by square footage, right? But just how much trim you're going to need. Maybe do something like that too. Okay. Now going back into our other one, you can come into here and apply a scale same way, but I'm going to calibrate it, and I'm going to be between 2 points. So basically what I'm saying is from here to here, or at a scale, which there is a scale marker down here, you can say from here to here is the set scale for this PDF. I'll do it from the scale itself. We'll say from here to here is actually 8 feet. It's a custom, and this is going to be on the PDF. This is the measurement, but actually in reality, it is 8 feet, right? So from here to here on the page itself, this is the measurement, but actually from here to here is 8 feet. And then you can go through and verify just in case. You may want to check your precision, but we'll find out how accurate this one was. Oh, that's the overall. We're looking good. Now, there also is the ability to create a viewport. So maybe you're taking measurements here, but we all know this isn't going to be accurate because it's at a different scale, right? That's not 60 feet right here. It's saying it's 15 feet. So what you're able to do with the measurements panel itself, viewports is right below. And from the viewports area, you're able to go through and hit the plus button here to add additional viewports. So when you hit the plus button, it says select an area to create a region for this viewport to be placed. So I am going to go up here between these grids and down and around. I'm holding. I don't think you need to hold, though, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you don't. It is just a rectangle. But what if I wanted to select points?
Yeah, I was going to say, can you do a polygonal one? I don't think you can.
No, you can't. It's just rectangular or square if you're really good at eyeing square. So there we go. This one is 1/2 inch equals a foot. So I'm just going to go by the preset. And any measurement that was placed in there, by the way, does dynamically go back to where the actual dimension is. So you don't have to worry about changing them, deleting them. Just place it and exit out of there. You can name these viewports too if you wanted. So you'd personally know how many different viewports you have in here. That is an option as well. There is no option to change colors. Just checking. Okay, cool. Now that's the ability to make sure you have set scale for different viewports. Again, Jason, did you find out the ability to export these out?
I didn't see it an option in AutoCAD. But going back to what you're talking about with changing the colors, you'd be surprised, not really, most of you wouldn't be surprised how many support cases we get of saying Bluebeam Revu is all blue, right? Why is it all blue? Well, it's probably because there's a viewport in there. And if you do the viewport wrong, it'll make your whole PDF turn blue. So it is a support thing that pops up all the time.
I think there's a show viewports.
That's a fair point. I think I've seen that before. I don't spend enough time in here anymore to be familiar with what Every tab is doing any these days.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's like see viewports, kind of like show spaces.
Oh, search for it. Use the search button. Viewport. Oh,
Hmm,
nothing.
nothing.
See,
I'm
search button
gonna, I know,
saves the day.
highlight viewports, but that's if you're in them.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Okay, we'll move forward. I'm not gonna sit here all day. Almost positive. Maybe it was just spaces. I think it's just spaces. I'm getting confused. Okay. So if we sit here, you'll know that I'll just keep going until I find something here. So next one will be measurements that you're going to customize. So we'll go through and quickly create some customize. I already have a bunch in here, but why not, right? Because I already have some for this estimation. We'll go through and just create a custom one so everyone can kind of get a feel of what that looks like. We'll actually do trim since this is going to hit more in my vein of understanding costs for trim. Does that sound good?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm going to use poly length first, but this is not set scale yet. So let's go. I already know this is 16th of an inch equals a foot. Apply. Now for this, I probably want to get my precision down to half an inch because I don't want to have overage, right? So if I'm purchasing, I don't think anyone would, but since it is hitting more close to home to me, I don't want to have them under purchase, but over purchase, right? So what, Doug, did you say half an inch? Or would you go even further down? While Doug types, well, I would probably want to be here, but nothing to like here. Okay. So I'm going to place one just to get started, and then I can select my measurement markup here, go to properties, and I'm not going to change the author, but I am going to change the subject. I'm going to do floor trim, and I don't want to do MDF. I want to do hardwood. Probably depends on if you are going to go as far as generating a cut list. Yeah, I don't think I'll generate a cut list. That would be nice. Hmm. Yeah, we'll just do this. Okay. I'm gonna change the colors. Orange seems about fair to me. And then I personally, some people do, I personally don't like to have any information or segments. And that would be you want a cut list on Doug's end because you would know each, you're not going to get your cut lengths from the perspective of your markups list. It's just going to give you a grand total. So
Mm-hmm.
be aware of that. If you wanted cut lengths, like we were talking about earlier, so I could say, hey, contractor X, Y, and Z, I need you to cut these, then you're saving on costs there as well, right? That would be a good example. But for now, we'll just go through and use this perspective. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. So once you've customized your markup, you have the ability to reuse your markups after you've customized them. And you can always change things later on. So I'm just going to drag this down into my already existing flooring example. Now I have my floor trim and it's hardwood. And maybe I wanted to do, we'll do that. So I'm going to duplicate this because I'm going to do MDF because it's going to be a different cost, right? I'm going to do MDF at $2.50 a square foot, and I'm going to do hardwood at $4 a square foot. Now you're probably all wondering, well, hey, Michael, how do you get costs into here? So you do have the option of going and doing costs natively in Revu, which I will do so that people can see that from that perspective. Or what you can do is tie this directly into Excel. And I opened up Excel right now, and we'll go through and create some Excel magic in here. It may be at some point we need to have Mr. Matt Lynn on to do some pivot tables with some stuff in here, since he is now a master in Excel. But okay, what we'll do is we'll go through and verify that I may have a column that has cost. It there already is. Okay, so let's run through how I did that. So you can go over to custom columns and you can have cost at a numerical number. You just need to add any custom column you want. And I did a numerical number. In that numerical number, you name it whatever it is, format, currency, decimal places, dollar amount, or you have all these other ones. I think this is pretty much what everyone needs, right?
The krona. Um,
But where's that?
I Poland? I don't know.
What does Australia use?
That's a Australian dollars.
Is it
Yeah, dollar was yeah Australian dollar. What makes a krona? Now I gotta know. See, it's gonna be one of those days, y'all.
I would
Buckle up.
assume they would, because this is big in Australia.
Swedish krona.
Swedish. Hmm. What do you think the Australians do?
It's just that they use dollar, but it means it's Australian dollar. It's the
Oh,
same
okay.
symbol. Same with New Zealand.
Okay.
But yeah, you can say, dollar AUS or NZD
Okay. That's
or New
confusing,
Zealand
but
dollar. Yeah.
yeah, we'll continue onward. So that's how you can go through, and then I already created a total cost. So it's just a formula. Measurement times cost gives me X, Y, and Z amount. Now I can preset these, so I will. I'm just going to select the markup prior to placing it. So don't place it. You can then scroll down and you'll have your custom columns. We said this was going to be 250. And then my hardwood is going to be $4. Just like that, these are presets. You never have to go back and we'll just change these colors. Ooh, wait, I don't think you can after. That's right. So you can't change colors after it's already been created as a measurement, but measurements can't be changed colors like a markup can, right? So here I created these examples for my counts for our office chairs, but I kept them as their native markup because you can right click and change colors. And then that way I had the same type of markup and could change them as I was recreating them into counts. So you
Oh,
can't do it after the fact. What?
Doug says you can.
It wouldn't let me.
No, change color. You can change a measurement color, but you can't change a measurement color that's already a part of your tool chest.
Perfect. So yeah, that's what
You'd
I
have
was
to change
saying.
it there and
Yeah,
not, yeah. It's
but
not the
that's what
drop
I,
down change color.
yeah, correct. So I'm gonna go over to here and make it dark blue. Doesn't matter about gold. Okay. So now what I'm able to go through and do is start doing a floor trim estimate. We're not gonna do an overall area. We'll do MDF in the electrical room. And then we'll do hardwood in the elevator. Ooh, there's no door in this elevator. I mean, electrical room. So I don't know how they're getting in there, but okay.
That's pretty funny. I don't think we've ever noticed that, and we've been dealing with these files for how many years?
Yeah, I just realized that because I was getting ready to go all the way across on this
Maybe the
hardwood.
elevator and electric or the labels went to the wrong room.
Yeah, and this is probably actually gonna go out, so I can actually add a point here. And then what I'll do is I'll draw this out to here, draw this out to here. So you can always add a point if you needed to, if you forgot to add an area. Okay.
All right. So here's one thing to mention. I know we've mentioned this before. When you're doing this type of work, do you want to have your line weights on or off?
Hmm, I don't know. You can decide that.
Sometimes your line weight will affect, especially if you're talking about, doing cutlass where you might be, getting into the smaller fractions. You want to turn those things off because you can get snaps that will mess with your head a little bit.
I don't know if I would do a cutlass from a PDF personally.
And then I wouldn't, but especially with trim,
Yeah,
where an eighth inch can make a big difference.
big difference, especially if you're short,
Yeah,
right?
unless you're just
'Cause you-
gonna caulk all the joints. But anywho,
We would call that not good work. Um, okay, but down here, I now have my subjects and I can subject these out to floor trim here. Or you can do it by label, so you can see which ones you have available and what's been placed. So essentially, you have your full cost breakout directly in Revu. So if this is something you're looking for, you can't create overly complicated formulas in Revu. So this is just a one-to-one, meaning you have one equation by another equation. Sorry, not a full equation, but a value by another value gives you X, Y, and Z, right? So you can only do it by two values. You can't additionally give it more, and it limits you to some type of integer that you can multiply it by. That's it. So now going back into here that we've made these, this may be good enough for you, right? Now, again, if you wanted segments, you can select this, you can go back into your settings and you can show your captions and what you can go through in here. Sorry, not captions, but segments. You can have these all out here. You can move them if you wanted, but it's pretty busy, right? Especially when you're getting over here where you have a slim part of the trim. So just be aware of that. There is no way yet, which I would really like to see. So wish list item would be the ability to go through and let me reselect this, have your segments down in the markups lists for those. Otherwise, it'd have to be individually placed items for it. So it doesn't show you segments, which I'm always wondering, like, why didn't they just put a segment here? Maybe it's too busy, but they could just break it down. I don't know. Again, not part of it. If you go to manage custom columns, you can even look here. There's nothing available for those segments, unfortunately. Okay, so coming from here next, let's get this into Revu. So if we wanted to go do flooring, well, I guess we'll just do a trim full estimate. And maybe we'll just do flooring. No, we'll do trim. Cost. Well, um, we'll do measurements.
or length,
Oh yeah, like,
because you're not doing an area trim.
Yeah. So there we are. All I really want is this, but we'll do MDF here. We'll do hardwood. I don't know why I put trim here because this is the type. But maybe this is just the overall. So I'm just gonna do that. Yeah, okay. We'll do 2.5. Format cell, currency.
You ever feel pressure to have all these people watching you do Excel? Because I'd be flipping out right about now.
I
can
I
just
already
hear Matt
know.
saying, "Just hit this shift key and you'd be done already."
I already know I'm not an expert at it, so it's kind of one of those things. We'll save this to my desktop, which, by the way, there's a solution. Let me go over here, desktop here, that helps you save files. Well, actually, you know what I need to do? Someone made a good point. I could just create a trash folder on my desktop. Just anything that is can be deleted because of all these demos could just live there, but either way. Now I need to save this out as, so you need to save your file out as, I'm going to save this to my desktop as well because I don't want to overwrite the look at it. I mean, I'm just busy here. So we'll just save, yes, replace it. Okay, so you have to save your file. You have to save your Excel file. Perfect, good, done. What this allows you to do is dynamically host data from Revu into your okay. I don't think it's going to work because of how these are set up, but dynamically link data from Excel or from Revu directly into Excel. I know we were just talking about our wish list items. I wish it was bilingual. We'll just go with that one. How's that? Off the whim. Um, because you want it to go back and forth would be great. If I push data from here to there, would that work? I want multiple cells of data, not a singular cell of data. But hey, sometimes this gets you enough. For some folks, if this is enough, great. Some of you are like Doug, who needs all the data, or Vincent if he's in here, right? And you want to pull all the data out, wash it through Power Query. That is the bee's knees for Excel to wash your data. Then you can do that. This is hopefully, for some of you listening in, beneficial enough for what you're looking for. So in order to do quantity link, you do need what license tier, Jason?
You need
I'll say it, but yep, complete, right? So what I can do from here is I can do my preferences if you want to apply a new fill color, but I'm going to go through and just say I'm going to create a link to files. It can be multiple files, or it can be a singular file. It's up to you. So I'm going to go to here. This will just save today. So I'm going to hit open. Now I'm going to hit OK. Now it's going to say, hey, what do you want to bring in from that PDF you just linked? I want my length of a label or subject. So I could just do all the floor trim, but I have different ones, right? So I'm going to do label of MDF. And you could do even more. So if you wanted to, you could go by color. Like, let's say you had multiple MDFs in here, or if you wanted to, I wonder if space comes out. So what if you wanted to do it by space? Do we know? I'm going to test it. So I know you're doing
That's a fair
things,
point.
so.
That's a fair point. I don't know if we've done that.
So now you have your overall length in here dynamically, and we'll do our next one. Perfect. Now I need a total. Now this is where everyone's gonna be frustrated at me. Can't I just click these two and create an integer multiplier? I just do these two. What's this? Do I need to hit format cell first? All right, I'm just gonna do it my old way.
I don't know. You need to write a quick formula. Start with an equal sign, says Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Where's my equal sign? Equals.
C2
then do I
asterisk D2.
Okay, C2. Does it need to be capital?
I think it will automatically capitalize itself, won't it?
I feel like you should be able to do equal and then these two. Yeah, can. Oh, see, that's where I get mixed up. Now, how, do I just have to hit enter and it'll do it for me? Thank you. Gosh. I always like out click because I'm used to clicking out of something. Yeah. Is there a way to, hold on. Is this a dot on my screen? Oh, I was like, I have a couple dots. Is there a way to just click these two and then make it into a formula like that? Or do you have to hit equal first to start that cell?
Or you, since you already have the same formula from above, just drag it down.
Oh. We need to
product you can't. So we got, oh boy.
All right, well, I'm gonna move forward. We need a
What's done
Excel
is done.
prodigy on here. Yeah. Okay. So the great thing about this though is that let me try to dock one more time. Do this in Excel. Cool. So what you can do now is if you wanted to add more, right, from the same tool set, it will auto-populate that data. So if I come into here and go, trim's gonna go to here. Ooh, well, trim's not gonna go all the way to that door frame. It's gonna go here because that door frame's gonna have its own trim going up vertically. So I'm gonna go here. It doesn't really like this kind of window-esque it's going to increase that overall cost. I don't think it's $4 a square foot. That's kind of expensive. Maybe it is.
A linear foot, not a square foot.
Yeah, linear foot, sorry. But there we are. So you have that dynamic option if this was something you were interested in for a measurement. So your measurements that you can go through and utilize are area. So you have length, area, volume, wall, area, width, height, and count currently. I know there's a request to get more data than just measurements, so that can dynamically link that information, but that's what we got now currently, and you're just getting that one cell of data to be dynamic in your Excel file. So that is dynamic. Again, as you saw me quickly add some, it increased that cost value of the specific area. And maybe you're like, well, that's getting kind of pricey, so let's just go to MDF. And you can now say, I want the MDF. Now you can't switch out. That's another thing everyone's asked for. I want to be able to switch out different markups so I don't have to remeasure. That would be great, right? Say this measurement, that measurement of data. So then you don't have to like go through and redo this one, right? So anyways, okay.
So Doug says you can do it by space. It just makes it a pain to set up. Plus you really can't use it as a template for that.
Okay, so you can do it by like space. That would be a good one, right? If you wanted to separate your data out by space, you'd probably use Power Query if you were getting that in depth at that point. But if you wanted to, you could create what's called spaces, like I was just talking about. And we'll go through and add a new space. And we'll go through here and say, what's TR for? Now, I think I need to hit save. Well, let's test it without hitting save.
What is TR?
Oh, you don't? Cool. I don't know. So now it's just a TR space. That's pretty cool.
So David says that there's a hack for that. Use the format painter to get the colors, then copy paste the subject and label from what you want it to be.
Oh, yeah. But does that ruin this if you did that? It's not the same. Well, I guess it's not pulling that specific markup. So if I wanted this to be, I could do format painter, right? So I can come over here, click, and is there not a right click on that? Oh yeah, it is right here. Okay. And then copy this one. Oh, it does move. Look at that. Cool. That's one way. If you wanted to change all, I guess you could
Select
do
all the
this.
markups and then make the changes in the properties window.
But the color wouldn't be formatted. So you probably could do this. Probably could do this if you knew the color, which I don't think. Nope. That's a bummer. So let's just do this. I'm just gonna change it to blue real quick. And then can I do this and renew it? Nope, you can't. Can I do this from the properties
window? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. That's
an option.
You'd think it'd be pulling from the same space, but hey, whatever.
What other questions do we got? Is that it? Yeah. So that's a good way to do that. You can do that shift to go through and change it out. So this is a great example. Resonates home to me since I'm doing some home remodel stuff for hardwood MDF. If anyone else is kind of going through and estimating an actual build project, this is a great example of being able to go through and do that. We're going to be having some great photos to input on a punch list that I'll probably be doing for my own internal workflow. And we get to see what they did in 1979 in Arizona construction behind some plumbing walls. So that'll be exciting. This
Hmm.
demo starts today, so when I get home, I'm taking pictures
Yeah, there you go.
that we could paste in here.
Yeah, 1979. You're not gonna find any spookies like asbestos
Hey, who
or
knows?
anything. You're probably gonna find some cigarette butts and cool linoleum somewhere, maybe.
Aren't you already at home? Yeah, I'm home
Yeah.
right now, but I go to the office right after this. I won't be home all day. So I won't, yeah, I'll be arriving back from the office, David, after. See what happens. See what ghosts live in that wall. Okay. So this is just a great example, some examples that you can utilize. Maybe we'll have, if there's some massive requests and if Doug would be uh, excited to jump back on and show his workflow for Power Query, maybe we can make this a double hitter in the new year, since we only have basically one left, right? Yeah, look, he already said sure.
There you go.
And Doug can show some Power Query. And then for those folks that have never used Power Query, maybe we do a two-step process because I know it's overwhelming. Maybe we do an actual step-by-step Power Query for some examples that people can give. The intro and then the advanced, if they attended one or the other, and then they can just go back and watch the other ones. But if you go to the advanced one, don't complain that you don't know where you started. Go watch the first one. But okay, we'll strategize on that, Doug, and we'll reach out. Yes, sounds like fun. Okay. So that's one. The other thing is like a dynamic fill. So maybe you wanted to quickly do something in a break room area. Let's do that next. So you can use dynamic fill. Dynamic fill was built for the ability to quickly, I think it's more like clip art. You pour a bucket of paint into an area, and then you can make multiple measurements for it. So from over here, there are some settings. So at first and foremost, I am going to set a boundary. So a boundary that's saying you can't go or past a certain point. Now, in this drawbar, here is your settings. As most things is in review, this just means that there are settings additional to this. And you can say boundary size. So we'll get very small with this boundary size, and we'll make this, I don't know, a blue boundary. And from here to here, let's do shift. I don't want you to pour over. And I think if I remember correctly, yeah, let's I delete that boundary. You want it from the center, even with the smallest one, because if it's at that edge, it's not going to go to there. So look at the, what do you call that? The highest point of this circle.
Quadrant.
Yeah, like that quadrant needs to be, I don't know why it's snapping. I don't have, is that just the smallest?
Yeah, it
Whatever.
doesn't.
Too late. I just clicked it. Okay. So now what you're able to do is come back into here and you can do your fill speed. So your fill size and your fill speed. If you're worried about going over, we'll just do this and we'll go max. And then you have your sensitivity high or low. This just means boundary lines, the thickness of the boundary lines. And I don't know if that plays into effect if you enable this or not. So we'll just go high. And now we're going to go through and pour this paint bucket with a quick fill. So I probably want to shorten this so I can get over into there and over into here. Perfect. Now from here, what you can go through and do is we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to have trim in here. So I have floor trim, and we'll do hardwood here. And if you wanted to get the area maybe of carpet, which I think I already have some in here. Yep, carpet. We'll do this one. You can apply those at the same time. So you can hit apply, close, and now down here in your markups list, you did two birds with one stone. You have your floor trim added, and then you have your carpet. Perfect, right?
Magical. So there's your double label
Yep. Created right
kind
at
of.
once. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. So it's just a way to be more effective with your measurements. Again, with dynamic fill, you have the ability to use a space. You can create a polygon markup, additionally a perimeter, and then you have your volume measurement. So if you wanted to add also concrete for that area, but you're going to do a full floor slab, but just saying as an example, you have that option too.
But fair warning, that works really well on this demo PDF. On not every drawing is gonna allow such clean use of dynamic fill, especially if you're using a raster one for crying out loud. Um, you know, play around with it, double check some things before you proceed to other spaces. So it is highly dependent on the drawing that you're starting from or the PDF that you're starting from. And then, as David mentioned, sometimes this can tax your system a little bit. Bluebeam for the most part can runs pretty smooth on most computers, but some functionality does push it a little harder. So if you're trying to do this on, you know, your old Dell that you've had for 3 years, it could be struggling a little bit. So fair warning.
Yep. Looked like you wanted to. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trying to. That's what I was trying to do, just to make sure you don't want it to be at the edge like I was picking, so that circle, highest ridge of that circle arc,
Mm-hmm.
is where you want to kind of end it so that you're not, because it will jog past that boundary line. It doesn't
Yeah.
default to the center of the boundary line. What else? Yeah, tangent point. David said earlier. Yeah.
Takes 30 to 45 seconds to launch. And
Sounds
mine
like you need a new computer, David.
mine can take a little bit, but not that long.
I wonder if it's on a larger set. What if I launch this one? Oh, it worked. But like Jason was saying, this full area, if I just wanted this area, my dynamic fill, I'm probably going to want to do not high sensitivity, low sensitivity, and we'll see where this gets me. Um, and we won't do that. Maybe we'll just do an area and we'll paint bucket. So this is low sensitivity. Sometimes it doesn't want to go around my control joints here. But it's actually going over those instruments. Oh, see? There we go. I'm assuming it went past here. So just be aware of it. Find out what works for you with whatever sets you're receiving. If you're on the receiving end, you're not on the creator end as well, embedded into your local area. So just be hyper aware when you're going through.
Double check everything, right?
Always, always, always verify, especially when it's
Measure
coming down to a
twice
cost.
at
Yeah.
once. Yeah. Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, okay. Let's
Hold
see.
up. Whole wait. They're saying if it does spill, you can add a boundary to clean it up and hit backspace and it drops back to before the bleed. Get out of
But I
town.
think, do I need to finish it and then? Okay, so it just bled. So if I hit not escape but backspace, didn't work.
But they're saying now if you apply a measurement or apply that, you can then go add a boundary and then it will keep it from going in there. Or Control Z while you're active in the command. This
Oh
seems
yeah, it's Control Z works.
that good trip. Good tip, David.
I think it also has to play into the effect of how far you're out in the view, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm out here, you have the more potential to bleed because it's looking at your view, maybe.
Yeah, always do in small batches.
Yeah, I assume there's some nuances with this solution if you just find what those are. Don't be all the way out here to do a full area, do area by area.
Mm-hmm.
as you're going through.
Tom's got a great question. So if you have a PDF with layers, can you freeze the text and dimensions and stuff off and just deal with like the wall layer first and then go do that stuff? Would that prevent it?
Yeah, but I mean, not many are coming out with layers unless it's AutoCAD, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah, I guess if you're dealing with AutoCAD, yeah. And they did that, what was it? DWG to PDF.
mm-hmm. That's the correct driver. Got that weird gap there.
I know, right here. I think it's because I did this.
But you can clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well show how to do that while you're in here.
Okay. So you can't go through here, and can I delete that one?
No, control point, subtract. Got to be careful because delete seems obvious. Hold shift.
I'm doing two different ones, but yeah. Yeah, shift, boom, select. Won't let me subtract these ones out. I think this one, what's this one? This one is something different. But yeah, like if I was here, subtract. But there's two different markups, remember? So if I just delete that one. So cool.
Yeah, we're getting caught up
Control
in AutoCAD versus whatchamacallit, Bluebeam layers, freeze and off. There's no freezing in Bluebeam, but there's freeze in AutoCAD. It's an old habit.
Yeah, it's on or off here. Yeah, you do on and off. I mean, now you do that same thing where you want to go into here and you can hide this specific one, right?
Yeah. For a markup, but for your baseline work, that's not going to help.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So we went through a bunch of things today. We went through customizing measurements. We went through the different ways to make a measurement. We went through a little bit of quantity link, a little bit of Excel formulation, a little bit of layer stuff, dynamic fill. What we
covered
miss?
A lot.
Yeah. The hide markup thing. So we talked about this briefly when it came out, but you'll see here on Michael's screen that up in the upper left corner of his PDF, that one markup hidden, and that also appears when you're doing that dynamic fill. Yep. It's a pretty great piece of functionality that they added. What was that? A couple months ago. So if you're not on the latest update, you're missing out.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better user ads, right? Not like a new, it is a new tool, but again, it's a value add to the existing workflow for just making your life easier. So.
Yeah, that one comes in pretty handy. So yeah, well, that about wraps us up for this week's edition of Morning Copy Review. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching on YouTube later in the future. And we will see you all next week for the final episode of
the year
2024. So same bat time, same bat channel, 8:30 Central every Tuesday.
Yes.
Take care, everybody.
See you all.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.